Welcome back, students. Now our next topic is skin and heat regulation of body. So all the mammals, including humans, they are called warm-blooded. You can categorize the organisms as warm-blooded and cold-blooded. Warm-blooded are also known as endothermal. These are those organisms who maintain a constant environment inside the body besides the changes in the external environment. For example, birds, the large animals such as dogs, cats, the human beings, we all come under mammals, and we are able to maintain a constant body environment. As you all know that, for example, in human beings, the body temperature is always 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit, or we also say 37 degrees Celsius, besides the changes in the external environment. So, we can say that the organisms can be either warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Cold-blooded are those who are unable to maintain a normal body temperature, constant body environment, and that is why they show some kind of escape either during winters or in summers. So those who hibernate during winters, you all know winter sleep, such as the lizards and the snakes, that is called hibernation, and some show summer sleep, that is called estivation, for example in case of frogs. So you have to study these two terms. So remember that the organisms can be warm-blooded or also known as endothermal, also known as homeothermal. For example, mammals. What are these organisms? The organisms who maintain normal body temperature, constant body temperature, maintain a constant body environment besides the changes in the external environment. And the other category is cold-blooded or ectothermal or poikilothermal. All refer to cold-blooded organisms who are unable to maintain a constant body temperature, and they show some kind of escape either in the form of hibernation or estivation. Fine. Now, human body temperature is usually 37 degrees Celsius in the mouth and 1 degree higher in rectum and 1 degree lower in armpits. So our body also shows certain variations, but that is very slight. For example, 0.3 to 0.5 variation can occur during the 24 hours. But we maintain a constant temperature because otherwise our enzymes will not be active and our metabolic activities will be harmed. So 35 to 40 degrees temperature is essential for normal body so that the action of enzyme can take place and there may be the metabolic activities is feasible which are going inside the body. Working of enzymes can be slowed down during with lowering of temperatures, while if it is high temperature in the body, then the enzymes will be altogether destroyed. So to maintain all this, the body has a phenomena, and to study this phenomena, before we should know that there are certain reactions in our body which produce heat. So heat can be either produced, heat production, or heat is otherwise lost. In some of the reactions, heat is lost, and in some of the body reactions, heat is produced. So which are the reactions where heat is produced? Some examples you can study. Many sources of heat production in our body, for example, oxidation of glucose, the breakdown of glucose during respiration, you have studied, it generally produces heat. And then secondly, for example, the activity of our muscles, the vigorous activity of our muscles also produces heat. That is why we feel very hot after certain exercises, strenuous work. Small amount of heat is produced during ingestion while we are taking some warm liquids. That time also heat is produced. And heat loss. Heat is lost from the skin. About 80% heat is lost through sweating or certain other ways like convection, conduction and radiation. And lungs. From lungs also you know that we breathe out carbon dioxide, that is warm air. And you can also experience by placing a hand in front of your mouth, you will feel that we breathe out the air that is warm, means we are giving out the heat from the body. Urine and feces, these are the substances which are eliminated at body temperature. And some foods, like when you take cold food, water or cold beverages, they are also, after taking, heat is lost from the body. Now, to maintain the normal temperature inside the body, the normal constant environment of the body, we have a part of the brain which maintains all these, and that is known as hypothalamus. So the next topic is temperature regulation. The principal heat regulating center, means how this heat is regulated in the body. This is maintained by hypothalamus, a portion of the forebrain. This acts like a thermostat. You must have read this word thermostat. It can fluctuate and it can change the temperature. It causes the temperature variations. So we can compare hypothalamus with thermostat. So for example, when the body tends to cool below normal, suppose body feels cool below normal, then it switches on. Switches on doesn't mean that it switches on. Here switches on means it speeds up the reactions which will produce the heat in the body. Okay, and when the body tends to overheat, suppose the body is overheated, then it will accelerate, it will speed up the cooling processes, the processes by which the heat will be lost. So hypothalamus is the part of the brain, the portion of the forebrain which regulates the temperature. Now, how this temperature regulation is brought about in the body, this we will study now in the form of what I told. When we studied the functions of the skin, the major function of the skin was temperature regulation. So this is in the form of vasoconstriction and vasodilation. So what happens? Now just look at this diagram given in your book. There are two phenomena can be possible. One is vasoconstriction and one is vasodilation. Here vaso refers to blood vessels. And you know what is constriction. Constriction means constricting, that is getting narrow. Suppose the outside temperature is very cold. When outside temperature is very cold, then what will happen? That the blood capillaries, these are the capillaries, these capillaries get constricted. Constricted means they become narrow. So if they will become narrow, there will be less blood flow on towards the skin, towards the epidermis, or you can say towards the upper layer, and more blood flow will be towards the inside layers, so that heat is produced and little heat is lost outside, so that we can prevent the heat loss, because already it is cold. What did I say? That during cold temperatures the arteries will become constriction, they will show constriction, they will become narrow, and there will be less blood flow in the capillaries. So less blood flow in the capillaries will result in little heat. Also very little heat is radiated, and the person's skin appears pale or dull or pale yellowish. That happens during winters. During high temperature, suppose the outside temperature is very high and body feels warmer more than the normal, then what will happen? This will cause vasodilation. Again, vaso here refers to blood vessels and dilation means getting wider. So these arterioles will dilate. So you can see the difference. Dilate. Just compare this one and this one. These are dilation. This is constriction. This is narrowing and this is getting wider. So more blood is flowing now towards the surface. More blood towards the surface. More blood towards the surface means more heat will be radiated. So we are escaping the heat outside to increase the heat loss, so that the temperature is maintained. So this is shown in high temperature, and this is when the temperature is low. This is called vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Now let us read from the book. In cold weather, when the temperature is low, blood vessels get narrowed. Narrowed means vasoconstriction. So this will reduce the blood supply to the skin. So as the blood supply will be reduced to the skin, there will be less heat loss. Or you can say sweat glands will also not produce the sweat. So low heat loss means heat is conserved. Heat will be present in the body. Fine. And in hot weather, when the outside temperature is high or when the person is engaged in strenuous physical work, which means there is more heat in the body. If the heat is more inside the body, then what will happen? We need to escape the heat. We need to send out the heat, and this can be done by vasodilation. So vasodilation results in greater loss of heat, and also the sweat glands will also produce more heat. So by evaporation the heat will be lost, and through sweating and by evaporation the sweat will evaporate and the body will feel cooler. So this is called the vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Now sometimes if the body is unable to maintain this phenomena, then it is called heat stroke or sunstroke, a condition in which sweat production is unable to keep pace with its evaporation in very hot winds. Sometimes there is more sweating but sweat is not being evaporated. Then in such a case we may feel feverish. This may help in this causes rise in body temperature, and drinking lot of water, especially with little salts, will help to maintain the body heat. Now let's have progress check. Look on progress check. The statements given below have some parts printed in bold face. In case these parts are incorrect, rewrite these in correct form. All mammals are ectothermal. Mammals are endothermal. So write down here endothermal. Hibernation is also known as summer sleep. No, hibernation is also known as winter sleep. For summer sleep we say aestivation. Human body temperature normally is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. This is correct, or 37 degrees Celsius. Vigorous activity on a cold day overheats you. True, this is true. The principal heat regulating center is located in the thyroid. No, it is located in the hypothalamus. Just now we have studied hypothalamus, the part of the forebrain. Increased body heat causes vasoconstriction. Increased body heat, if the body heat increases, it will cause vasodilation. It will cause dilation of the arteries. Dilation. Facial hair in humans contributes to sex differences. This is true. So now let's have a quick look towards the review questions. If for some reason sebaceous glands fail to function, what could be the reason? What will happen? The skin will turn dry and rough. D part. Which one of the following pairs includes the abnormal condition of skin pigmentation? B. Albinism and leukoderma. So which one of the organs helps in regulating body temperature? That is skin. Sweat glands are situated in dermis. Epidermis is highly thickened in palms. Now very short answers. Name the principal body heat regulating center in our brain. Hypothalamus. Just now we have studied. Name any one modified sweat gland and one modified sebaceous gland. Modified sweat gland is mammary gland, and modified sebaceous gland, you can write any one out of the two, ceruminous or meibomian gland. We have studied ear glands. To earsmith is ceruminous and meibomian in the eyes. Name the skin glands which when inflamed cause acne. Which glands cause acne? Sebaceous glands or the oil glands. Now the short answer type questions. State any two functions of mammalian skin. You can write down yourself other than heat regulation. What is goose flesh? Just now you have studied goose flesh refers to the erection, which causes the erection of the hair due to the erector or erector muscles. So write down from the book. What is the difference between leukoderma and albinism? You can write down. This is when the pigmentation is lost in patches, and albinism is altogether the pigmentation is lost. So name any two glands found in human skin and write their function. You can do it yourself. An otherwise normal, healthy young man started perspiring while it was intensely cold outside. What could have been one reason? This is called psychic nervousness, and the reason could have been that due to fright or due to nervousness. It is given in your book under the heading of sweat glands. Now these are direct long answer type questions. You go through it. If you have any doubt, we will revise. And structured application skill type here. You have to practice this question, very important. Draw the labeled diagram of mammalian skin. or this will come or this will come. The diagram is already drawn. You have to write down the names. You can see the book and write down the names. So practice this chapter, dear students. Study this lesson thoroughly and write down your doubts, and we will discuss later on. So thank you very much. May God bless you.